front row at New Hampshire, Brad Keselowski and Kurt Busch. Green flag in the air, and we are underway. Stepping out of line, looking to the inside of Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon in that mix. Brad Keselowski leads lap 1. Kurt Busch behind him, and Kyle is on the move through the corner.
We talk about it every week. You've got to get as much as you can when they start these things or on these restarts. And Kyle's taking advantage these first couple of laps of these guys getting hung on the outside a little bit.
Kyle Busch started fourth, picked up third from Dale Jr., and now in the runner-up position going around older brother Kurt. The 18 appears to be hooked up early.
Yeah, he's in a hurry. But boy, like Kyle said, this is the time to try to make hay if you can. Every lap you run on these tires, the cars get worse and worse as far as handling goes.
But Kyle, this race only 301 laps, so I'm assuming the urgency level pretty high for all the drivers.
It is for everybody. We talked about Jimmy Johnson in the opening, starting at the back and having to be aggressive on pit calls. You know, this could be a 3 or 4 stop race when you really get into it. So gambling on pit calls is have an accident down in turn 1.
Turn 1 and the first accident of the day. Joey Logano got turned around starting outside the top 20. Disappointment early last week at Daytona. Cut the tire and hit the wall, and once again the native New Englander going to have to try and battle back from some adversity. He hit it pretty hard up in turns 1 and 2. He was running 23rd when he went around and hit the wall.
He was involved in a little bit of contact yesterday during the nationwide race. They went 3 wide into turn 3. We'll see what happens here.
Watch left of your screen.
Oh, he's out of shape before he ever got to the corner.
And now an onboard look from the Shell Pinto
down there. Barely down there. Inside.
That's still hard to tell if he got any help or not on that. You can see the car just jump a little bit loose there.
Brad Keselowski. First caution of the day is cleaned up. Brad chooses the inside lane. We go back green as we complete lap 9.
I think he's going to have to fight hard to keep that spot because that 18 car's hooked up.
Doesn't matter where he is. Power move on the outside. Put Kyle Busch to the race lead.
Yeah, he has picked up exactly where he left off on the last lap of the nationwide race yesterday, just powering around people on the outside and making stuff happen.
Brad a little loose coming off of turn 2. That's what you love about restarts here. You see him going double file through the corners. As Kyle said earlier, you got to get all you can get at this stage. Let's go to the garage and Marty Snyder.
Joey Logano out of the car, and that's early to be out of this race. What happened?
It's tire failure. 2 weeks in a row. Right front last week, left rear tire this week. I'm not very impressed right now with their tire. It's kind of frustrating that 2 weeks in a row we have that. But, I didn't touch anyone. It just blew out. So same thing happened to one car in practice. So just 2 weeks in a row with 2 big hits in the points. So we really got our work cut out for it now.
He mentions that big points hit. That's going to be tough for these guys trying to make it into the chase. It was Jay Hackney, his rear tire changer, that he did hit. And I talked to Jay. He's fine, guys. Just wanted to give you that report as well, Adam.
But you know, one thing that you have to keep in consideration is the low pressures that these guys run on the tires, and that could be some of the problem with, with the tire going down as well.
Hey, Wally, there's no question. If you have a tire failure on lap 5, either you ran over something and cut it, but we saw his teammate Brad Keselowski in practice yesterday in that 2 car. The left rear air pressure was so low, the sidewall was wrinkled. They run very low air pressure all the way around, but especially in those left side tires. I've known of teams starting them off maybe at 9 or 10 PSI.
Yeah, Larry, and we can get that shot, especially going into 3. If you look at the left rear of these tires, they're all crinkled. They look like they're flat going down in there, and we got trouble on
Problems
straightaway.
again, front straightaway.
Ambrose.
Marcus Ambrose involved, and
Mears.
some other drivers got damage, including, as you said, Casey Mears, who had no place to go. Second caution, 14 laps in.
And this is the stuff that plays into Jimmy Johnson's hands. Yeah. He's up to 25th now, and now he gains all, like Kyle said, that distance on the leader. So this is good stuff for them.
Ambrose was running in the 20th position. At the front of the field.
Boy, these guys are getting tore up early.
Yeah, and Casey had nowhere to go. Marcus was in the middle of the racetrack, had most of the racetrack blocked, and Casey just...
And there was like 3
nothing. Wide
coming out of 4, so...
Here's a replay of what happened off of turn 4 and coming toward the start-finish line.
You see him going into turn 3 there. They 3 wide for a moment, and then they get out, spread back in.
The 9 is...
Oh.
Well, it looks like Harvick basically just booted him on that one.
I'd say Harvick just took him out right there. They got together a little bit, and this Harvick drove. Sure how much of a shot did some of them have.
He made a pit stop under caution, restarts 31st. Kyle Busch shoots out of a cannon to grab the lead on the restart. Somebody it's racy early. Dale Earnhardt Jr. inside of Jeff Gordon. They're battling for 4th on track. It's Matt Kenseth right behind him. He's moved up quite well in the early going. Started 12th, and he finds himself inside the top 10. Jimmy Johnson restarted 31st, had been as high as 25th, but they elected to come down pit road there under caution, Larry.
Well, Adam, this is what you and I talked about at the very beginning of the Countdown to Green pre-race show. They're trying to get off sequence. In their perfect world, we'll go about 15 to 20 laps here and get another caution, knowing most of the leaders will pit. Then that 48 car, Jimmy Johnson, they will stay out.
And always a tactical general on top of the box. You could hear no panic and how smart they are looking at the overall picture of this race. After the first caution, Jimmy was asked, how good is the race car and can he get up through the pack easily? You could hear the confidence in Jimmy's voice. He said, absolutely, shouldn't be a problem.
And Matt, he wasn't the only one to come down and make a pit stop under caution at lap 15. Eric Almirola did the same. So did Martin Truex Jr. And Truex, the best of that group, scored in the 25th position right now. Johnson for another spot inside of J.J. Yaley.
And that's just why these guys are so good at what they're doing. When they come from the back, is that they are patient. You just watch the way the 48 is approaching each car. He's giving them plenty of room. He's not forcing the issue. He's got time yet.
There's Harvick and Biffle for 17th and 18th. McMurray and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. right behind him, Matt.
More necessity than going for a strategy move. The 56 team of Martin Truex Jr. He had debris on the grill. Water was climbing. It was over 265 degrees, so they took the chance to clean the grill. And also an update for you on Martin's little friend Austin. After our all-access piece aired, Kelly Earnhardt, Dale Jr.'s sister, texted Sherry Pollock and said, no worries, tell your little buddy some Dale Jr. diecast is on the way.
The drivers in the NASCAR garage do a whole lot of good for a whole lot of people. And certainly in our all-access piece today, we found that out about Martin Truex Jr. In front of him, 2000 Series champion Bobby Labonte to the inside of David Gilliland. That's for 22nd. At the Magic Mile, and there is a new man in charge. Kurt Busch taking over the top spot while we were away. Going around younger brother Kyle. In fact, Kyle has slid back to 3rd. Brad Keselowski got around him. Here's the change up front.
You see, Kyle's just got a little bit loose getting off the corner. Sounds like his car has been doing that for the last little bit. Obviously, Kurt got his car working really good on the long run.
Yeah.
Where the 18 is better on the short run, but they'll come in on this next pit stop and they'll make whatever adjustments they can. But you want to be good on the long runs here.
Yeah, and the 18 is dropping right now, which shows that the 18 is really good on a short run. Is that good or bad? It depends on how the race plays out. He really dominated the first 20, 30, 40 laps of the race as you look at it. But then these guys are in it for the long haul, and they kind of come back by him, Kyle's reported, as you saw him come up off the corner, that the car's a little tight coming off and then snaps loose. And that's hard to control at this point in time. We're getting close to pit stops. Maybe they'll make an adjustment or look to try to correct that. Or if they want to stay good on a short run, they'll just live with it.
Yeah, and he just got loose again, so I think he's going to be wanting to get to pit lane as soon as possible.
Marty, he's gone from first to fourth in about 7 laps.
Well, to the boys' point, we're real close to pit stops, about 5 laps for Kyle Busch, maybe even sooner because the car very ill handling right now. It does snap loose, as Kyle mentioned, off of the corner, and he said it really changed when the sun came out. So I think it's a combination of things that Dave Rogers has to deal with. Number one, sunny and bright right now, as Matt mentioned earlier, that has changed the complexion of the racetrack. And number two, they're clearly not as good in the long run as everybody else.
Yeah, and he does have issues that they're going to have to deal with, multiple, but you know, he can fix the car, but even the great Larry McReynolds can't fix the sun from coming out. I mean, it's going to come out, and you're going to have to deal with it as the day goes on.
And if you look outside, it's not like the clouds are just going to blow through. It's going to be sunny the rest of the day. It's very cloudy today with, you know, with holes that the sun's going to come through. So they'll be chasing this all day.
And how about that? When we started the race, 84 degrees air temperature. The track was at 100. A couple of degrees up on air temperature now, but 120 the track temp.
Yeah, and race fans at home probably think that doesn't mean anything. How big an issue can that be? Remember, they'll put a quarter pound of air in the tire and change the way these tires. They'll put a 16th or a 32nd shim in a bump stop and change the way these things drive. They're so close to being right or wrong. The temperature change of the track, the sun coming out, the sun going in, totally changes the way these guys approach the race and how it handles.
There was a tire test here back in the spring, Wally, and Clint Boyer was incredible when they came up here to test the Goodyear tires. And I asked that team, bring the same car back here? They said yes, but you have to understand, a lot cooler when we were here testing, alluding to what we just talked about.
Yeah, to Kyle's point, if it would have been the same temperatures that, you know, it was when Boyer came up here and tested, he'd probably run in the top 2 or 3. This track, all racetracks are pretty temperature sensitive, and this is definitely one of the top 3.
Mentioned Clint Boyer. He's won twice at this track. He was the first car out in qualifying on Friday. He's running 14th right now. Let's go to Ralph Shaheen. Pit stop's underway.
Well, this is the start of it, Adam, and the first one in coming down to my end, which is the first 10 spaces, is the number 1 at Jamie McMurray. He comes to a stop. They're going to go change tires, take fuel. They're going to do 4 here, Matt.
Greg Biffle telling his team he needs significant help rolling the center of the corner. The car way too tight. Track bar adjustment and air pressure for him. Meanwhile, the 11 of Denny Hamlin pulls to a stop as well. His car had trouble rolling the center and slick on exit. Air pressure change for the 11 also. You can see chassis adjustment, Chris.
Clint Boyer in the 15. He's started 20th today, ran it up to about 14th, saying the front end is chattering and he's kind of stuck back there.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. pulls into his pit stall, guys. He said it's pretty good coming off of the wall, meaning corner exit, but a little bit too tight. He said the biggest thing I want to work on, forward bite, and that's what Steve Letarte wants to fix for the first half of the run. They do that with air pressure, Matt.
And the 48 of Jimmy Johnson brings his car down the pit road. Jimmy needed help on entry and exit the car a little on the free side. Meanwhile, possibly an issue for the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Conversation with officials. Ralph, they may have a lug missing.
Kevin Harvick is in here, Matt. They're going to make a chassis adjustment on the right rear. They're going to take tires on both sides of this car, Marty.
Ralph, Kurt Busch said, guys, I'm sorry for complaining about the car. I just never thought it would be this good this late in the run. Loose in, loose off. They want to fix that. Down 2 rounds on the track bar and a half pound out of both left side tires. Ralph?
Tony Stewart is in. They're going to take tires on the right side to begin his run. He loves this heat. So when this sun popped out, that was what he was looking for. Get this track good and slippery as he takes 4 tires and fuel, Chris.
What a run for Matt Kenseth, all the way up to 3rd. He said he has the car that can definitely challenge for the front, but he's having to wait on the throttle a little bit too long in the center of the corner.
And as Matt Kenseth makes an exit, you see Carl Edwards on pit road. Denny Hamlin back in. Matt alluded to it, and they got problems. Matt?
They hit the lug on that left rear, Ralph. Meanwhile, the 24 is on his way. What do you have? Ralph.
Brad Keselowski's coming in. This car has been really good. He's been running very good lap times, hanging right up in the front of the field, and they're very, very solid and very happy with this car. Pit stop going for him, 4 tires going on this car, and a little bit of a chassis adjustment, Matt.
And Truex is already away. They made a chassis adjustment to try to help get more grip. Jeff Gordon's in, loose on entry under braking, also loose on exit. Significant changes for the 24.
Denny Hamlin had to come back down pit road. So did Brian Vickers. Equipment leaving the box, the penalty for the 55.
Yeah, Denny came in. I believe he was running 7th. Not sure where this is going to put him, but it's going to put him deep in the field, having to come back in.
Vickers was scored in the 19th position when he came down pit road. And when the cycle of green flag pit stops began, and now we get a caution at lap 75 for debris, our third of the afternoon.
Wrench up in high in turn 1 that we'll go get.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, Jimmy Johnson found it interesting. Now, he could have run to about lap 89 or 90 because, remember, he pitted on lap 15. But what they're making sure that they didn't do is go too far on those older tires and lose a lot of ground. They want this. We talked about them wanting to get off sequence, but right here they wanted to stay on sequence as far as fresh tires versus all the competitors.
I was wondering why they came in like.
Yeah, and Larry, I think when this caution, it played right into their hands. If they hadn't pitted and stayed out there, they would have lost all that track position because everybody else has pitted.
Exactly. I mean, this almost ended up being a perfect world for them right here.
Yes, they are a lucky bunch.
They gained.
Going to go back green as we complete lap 82. The Busch brothers, Kurt and Kyle up front for the restart.
Good start by Kurt.
Yeah, no kidding. I think he knew he better.
Yeah.
That 18 being strong on the short run.
Matt Kenseth slides to second, Kyle Busch third, Jeff Gordon, Brad Keselowski, Casey Kane, Dale Jr. all going for the 4th position. How about Juan Pablo Montoya up inside the top 10? That's a backup car after they crashed early in the opening practice session of the weekend on Friday. Teammates going at it. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Casey Kane. That's for 6th.
Boy, and I'll tell you what, that was heads up driving on Casey's part, because he saw the 88 of Earnhardt get loose underneath him, and he drove up the racetrack to give him more room.
And Juan was able to take advantage of those guys sliding up and just powered by both of them. That could have been ugly.
Yep.
Jeff Burton side by side with Carl Edwards. They're racing for 9th. Burton, a 4-time winner here. That's more victories than any other driver. And right behind them, Tony Stewart, who will try and match him today. Smoke has 3 wins at New Hampshire. Riding with Clint Boyer here. He's up to 12th. Started 20th earlier this afternoon. See the progress of Jimmy Johnson working the outside of Jamie McMurray. The 5-time champion continues in the 14th position. That's where he was on the restart.
Boy, he came across the front of that one car. Thank you, Jamie, for not wrecking me.
Yeah. Good thing Kevin Harvick wasn't there, right? Remember what he said earlier?
I think Jamie saved him right there just a little bit. I'm not sure that Jimmy knew that he was that close. We saw a minute ago the 5 cars slide up when he and Junior got a little free there, and Juan go back by him, and you see the 5 battle back, trying to take that position away.
Jeff Burton kind of doing now what Montoya did a few laps ago.
There we go. I knew that was coming.
Little contact there. 5 and 42 might have brushed against each other.
Well, the 42 came, 42 drove down pretty tight on the 5 going down into the corner, and that's just basically not giving the other guy room. So.
But that's what you have to do here.
You just about
you can't continue to run laps side by side because the guys behind you catch up incredibly fast and it bunches up there, and the guys in front of you, you see them drive away, and these guys are so close when they get clear track to running the same speed. You can't lose that distance on the track.
Good afternoon for Jeff Burton. Marty, he's up to 8th.
Nice little run for Jeff Burton. And I was talking to Luke Lambert, his crew chief, earlier today, and he said, honestly, this is one of the best cars coming into race day we've had all season long. He said, we've had the speed for the last 2 months. We don't have the finishes to show for it. And who runs better at New Hampshire than Jeff Burton? You see it right there on the screen. 4 wins at this place, Adam. He knows how to get around this joint.
Well, and his teammate, not bad here either, talking about Kevin Harvick, who was inside the top 10, but pitted a second time under that last caution because of some contact. So he restarted 24th, and the 29 machine now scored in 22nd as you see him go to work here on Bobby Labonte for 21st. And Brian Vickers, who had that penalty making a cycle of green flag pit stops a moment ago, a lap down in 27th. Denny Hamlin also penalized. Had that lug nut missing. He's the first car 1 lap down in 26th. Everybody chasing Kurt Busch. He's got a half a second lead over Matt Kenseth. Well, this is a track that can change a lot over the course of the day. We're 120 laps in as we look at the battle for the 4th position. You got Brad Keselowski going after Jeff Gordon. That didn't take long. Brad started on the pole today, drifted back right around 5th, 6th, and his car appears to be coming to life a little bit.
We saw it in that first run. Brad dropped back to 3rd or 4th right along in there, and by the end of that run, he drove back up through there. It's interesting. Jimmy Johnson, as we've talked about him the whole first part of the race, it seems like that's all we've talked about, but he has stalled out. He was on the bumper of that 15 of Clint Boyer, and Clint has driven away from him right now.
No problems for Kurt Busch. He has a 1.7 second advantage here at New Hampshire. And we'll stay here as we get our 4th caution of the day. It comes out at lap 122, and it's a problem for Denny Hamlin. Had the issue on pit road, missing lug nut, had to make an unscheduled stop, and now a right front tire, it looks like.
Yep, definitely down. Again, it could be something about, running something over, but you also look at the problems that his teammate had with the tires blistering. So I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing more of a trend right now with some of these guys having some problems.
And we talk about, as we watch the replay here, you see Denny, he's already pulled over. He's already felt it as he came up off turn 2. Yeah. He's already felt that the tire was going. But we talk about, as you see him go up the racetrack, Nemechek is right. Wow. He's already down at this point. The tire's already gone down. He feels it. He goes in the corner. It won't turn. You see Nemechek go to the outside of him and just barely squeaks by.
And when a tire blisters, what it feels like, for a driver, it feels like you're on ice. There's no grip on that right front, and it just, it just slides.
And Denny was just about in position to take advantage of the lucky dog, and so he was pressing hard to be the first car 1 lap down, and he ends up being the caution.
Pit road is open. Here they come, Chris.
Yeah, Matt Kenseth running second. He told the team, I need a little bit more forward bite, but don't waste any time on this pit stop. Also clean the grill. He's starting to get a little bit of a long brake pedal. Marty.
Chris, your leader, Kurt Busch, on the top right of your screen. He said the car got a little too free as we went along. 0.3 of a pound of air pressure on the right rear, Matt. 4 tires.
Jeff Gordon lost 1 spot right before the caution. Hit pit road in the 5th position. Ralph, he says his car will not turn down in 3 and 4. He barely touches the gas in 1 and 2, and it goes sideways. Air pressure change for the 24.
Crew Chief Paul Wolf said no, left tires are not wearing much, so they decided to go with just 2 for Brad Keselowski. He's been losing just a little bit of drive off the corners. They got him fixed up, ready to go with 2 rights and fuel.
A mixed bag. Some going with 4, others going with 2, including Dale Jr., who picked up 4 positions. On the front row, Matt Kenseth, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Top 6 on the restart, got 2 tires.
Yeah, and that's going to be real interesting to see how that. We're about to find out how important tires are right now. Because the guys that just took 2, and granted, the guys that just took 2 are handling a lot better as well.
The thing is, it's going to be interesting to see the track position, because by the time you take 2 and you get that track position and you're up there, has the guy with 4 tires already used the good out of his tires, and it equalizes itself at some point in time.
And this a little bit goes back to the conversation I have had so many times in the last few weeks, Wally, and that is, if you take 4 now, are you setting yourself up to be able to take 2 later?
That's how I'm always looking at it. It's like, take advantage of the 4 while you're under caution. So if you have to go later on 2 and you have to make a stop on green, it's going to save you that much time.
See Kyle and Kurt side by side. They both, as we said, got 4 tires when they came down the pit lane a moment ago. Right now being held up by Juan Pablo Montoya, the final car inside the top 5.
Could go 3 wide here.
That's a pretty strong move after a restart to pass somebody.
42 sliding up the racetrack,
and we saw the 42 slide up the racetrack into the 5 before when the 20 when it was he and Junior and all those guys racing.
And that's just driving it in hard. That you drive that car in a little bit harder in the corner, and the cars have a tendency to slide up the track. Lack of grip.
Kyle Busch got him outside, Kurt Busch on the inside, and now Carl Edwards knocking on Juan Pablo Montoya's door, and he shuts the door on Jeff Gordon, who was looking to the top side. Haven't mentioned Ryan Newman's name much today. South Bend, Indiana drivers, won here 3 times. He's now in the 11th position. About as high as he has been in the running order this afternoon. Mentioned earlier, Casey Kane won this race a year ago. He finds himself in 10th right now. You're on board here behind Carl Edwards.
Case.
Paul Menard now in the 16th position, trying to bounce back from so much disappointment in recent weeks, Wally.
Yeah, he's not had a very good last 6 races or so. Blew up at Daytona. They were sitting in the top 9 in points. Right on with Martin Truex here.
And this is a pretty tough group of cars right here, from about 12th, 13th back to 15th or 16th. They don't really pass each other on the racetrack. It's just how they come off pit road. But they just seem to be mired in this area right here and not be able to make much more progress than where they are.
Yeah, they all seem like they're needing the same exact real estate to get their car to work through the corners. And when that happens, you can't make a pass.
And Adam, you guys were just talking about tires. Matt Kenseth did just take 2 tires on that last stop, and the team keeping a real eye on the 78 car that took 4 tires. Matt's still running some really good times, and I really wanted to see what those tires looked like after that last pit stop, because we saw the blister with the 18 car, and we saw Denny Hamlin cut a tire right before that last caution. Well, the tires on the right side on the 20, they looked great.
And now, Chris, we get our 5th caution of the day. Debris the reason for this one. Over in turn 3. There you see it, just above the racing groove. He goes 14th when the green flag goes back in the air. And everybody in the top 10 getting 2 tires there, including Tony Stewart, who took 2 on the last opportunity on pit road.
Now that's where making your 2-tire stop is such an advantage, when the guy that takes 4 is all the way back in 14th or 15th spot. That's a lot of ground to make up. 4 tires or not. If it's just 6 guys in front of you, it's not too bad.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Rookie of the Year contender, looking for his first top 10 finish of the season. In 6th right now. He took no tires on that last stop.
I'm not sure he's going to be happy with that decision. Unless he came in later.
Kurt Busch able to grab the race lead here. That's Jeff Burton behind him, and there you see Stenhouse nearly sideways going into the corner. Jimmy Johnson below him, outside Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, I mean, when you that far in and you don't change tires and everybody's got better tires behind you, you're basically going to get run over.
And here's Jimmy Johnson getting that coveted track position as we've gone past halfway. Started 43rd, now finds himself in the 6th position, but maybe not for long.
That's Jeff passing him on the outside.
And here we are on board with Clint Boyer. Haven't talked a lot about him today, Kyle, but this is his kind of track.
Yeah, and Clint's been back there, like I said. Clint's been back mired 12th, 13th, 14th. We saw him earlier racing with the 48 car and just drove off and left the 48 car over after about 10 or 15 laps. But just as Wally said, in this stop, the 4 tires versus 2 tires, it's shaken up that thing a little bit. And it's moved guys that were 12th or 13th, 14th up to 5th, 6th, or 7th. And it's moved guys that were leading the race, like Matt, back to 12th or 13th.
But Matt's got those 4 tires, as we mentioned, driving to the inside of Stenhouse. That's for 9th. And we saw 4 tires on that last cycle, Wally, pay dividends over the course of the run for both Kurt and Kyle Busch.
Yeah, but like I said, you're having to travel further to get to the front when you're way back there in the restarts on 13th or 14th. I mean, you're going to try to get as much as you can right now because the 4 tires are better than anybody else's right now. But the distance is further. You got, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds between you and the leader, and cars in between you.
How many tires did Burton take?
He must have taken 2 because I believe everybody in the top 13 got 2 tires,
yes,
with the exception of Stenhouse.
Kenseth was, I think, the first guy that took 4.
Yeah, and he restarted 14.
Yeah, we saw, a minute ago as we're watching this battle right here with Stenhouse and Junior and the 16. Jeff Burton has done a great job today. They've been 5th, 6th, 7th, and right now running in 2nd with 2 tires, but really not losing a lot of ground to anybody that he's racing with.
I mean, what's incredible about Jeff Burton, he's won here 4 times. That's more than any other driver. But when he went to victory lane here in 2000, Marty, he led all 300 laps.
That was an impressive day. I was here for that race, Adam, and Jeff Burton not having quite as good of a day today, but the car obviously terrific. 2 tires, just to confirm to you guys on that last stop, and down half around on the track bar. Car was just a little bit loose. What's been odd, on the 2 restarts previous to this one, they've had debris on the grill. The water has shot up to 260 twice today. They've gotten the debris off both times, still been able to keep it up in the top 10, and I don't think they've been out of the top 10 the entire day today. Impressive run for Jeff Burton.
Jeff Burton got to still be thinking about an opportunity to jump into a wild card spot. Came in to the afternoon 21st in points, only 3 out of the top 20. But as you know, if you're 11th to 20th in points and you have a victory, you're eligible for a wild card spot. We'll see how it pans out, but he'd love to be able to get away with one here today. Jeff Burton made his Cup debut here, July of 1993. First ever race at New Hampshire. Since then, Kurt Busch, one of the drivers that's gained the hat trick. He leads today, looking for his 4th win. 6th caution of the day, 4 debris, leaders on pit road. Top right of your screen, Kurt Busch going 4 tires. Top left, Casey Kane went with 2. His teammate Jeff Gordon did the same. 14. And here they come off of pit road. Tony Stewart, right side.
Yep.
Thank you for that, Wally. And Stewart wins the battle off the pit lane, gaining 3 positions. Burton, status quo, also took 2 tires. In fact, everyone inside the top 10 going with tires. Only 2 of them. Jeff Gordon up 3 positions. And the big gainer, Kevin Harvick, +9. We'll reset the running order when we continue from New Hampshire. Tony Stewart and Jeff Burton, they have combined for 7 wins here. Green flag back in the air as we complete lap 207. Gordon not wasting any time. Casey Kane hanging with Tony Stewart on the restart.
Burton got a little bit loose, little contact, but 2, but
and who's that help out? Jeff Gordon. 3 wide. Gordon, Burton, and Harvick into the corner.
Now they made it through.
The balance of patience and aggression. Here's Gordon working on his teammate, and Matt Kenseth, who got 4 tires. Chris just told us that. He's right in that mix as well, already up to 8th. He's picked up a lot of ground.
Kyle Busch down there underneath the 42 car, making it 3 wide. Wow, picked up 2 spots on that, on the straightaway alone, and we got another caution.
It's for debris in turn 2, 7th caution of the afternoon.
And that's why he dropped back so much.
Row 3, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson.
Looked like Casey Kane spun the tires on that restart.
He was dogging Tony Stewart last time when we went green, but not here. Jeff Burton in front of him. And he's not the only one getting out there. Jimmy Johnson making up some ground. How about this 3 wide? Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Jeff Gordon, and here comes Kenseth sticking his nose right in the middle of it.
And that's where you can see those 4. That's where the tires come in play right there.
Fresh tires
through the
create confidence, right?
And I'm going to tell you, obviously that was a confident, aggressive move for one guy to go out of the middle and for him to stick his car up in the middle lane there.
When Kenseth pitted at lap 203, he got 4 tires. All these other drivers with 2. Most on the right. Jeff Burton got less.
Trying to clear the 24. Just he can roll through. Well, the 24 is awfully strong there on the high side, but there Kenseth gets a little bit better bite off the corner and takes the spot.
Matt's up to 6 now. Kyle Busch lurking behind him. He too got 4 tires when we were last on pit road. And Kurt Busch, who has dominated this race, also got 4 on that last cycle, but he's stuck back in the 12th position. Pretty good segment of the race for Joe Gibbs Racing. Denny Hamlin got the free pass back on the lead lap for the first time in quite a while. Talked about Matt Kenseth moving up, and here's Kyle Busch taking 7th away from Jeff Gordon. If you're Tony Stewart, you don't want a bunch of restarts late, but he's managed these 2 quite well.
Yeah, he has managed these 2 really well, and he is really good at that. He's really good at bringing them down to the line. You don't hear a lot of people complain about how he does it. It's just straight up, but he seems to beat those guys off the line. You know, it talked about Burton getting a bad start the time before, got a really good start that. And I don't think we've not talked a lot about Stewart-Haas Racing or Richard Childress Racing today. 2 organizations we don't usually talk about, and they're running 1st and 2nd.
8th caution of the day for Danica Patrick, who goes around off of turn 2.
But see, this is where I think it starts to hurt maybe the 14 car Kyle, because every time the 20 gets a restart, he gets closer to Tony Stewart, and he's on better tires.
Brandon, help her out right here.
Yeah, every caution he gets 2 to 4 positions. Right. It seems like. So, I mean, you're exactly right.
It would be better if it stayed green for the 14 car than to having these short runs and getting cautions.
Well, not just Matt Kenseth. You got Kyle Busch up there now that's making some ground, and
got
Kurt.
4 tires, right.
Yeah, let's see what happened to the 10 car over in 1 and 2.
Danica was running 26 when she got turned around. Going to be far left of your screen there.
Yeah, she definitely got turned around.
Yes. It looks like AJ just got up into her and got into the left rear and the worst place. You know what I mean? Coming up off the corner there.
The restart will be Brad Keselowski. He goes 7th.
Juan is not going away easy right here. And you know, when you look at that top 5 and you look at the 14 and the 42 and the 43 and the 47. And
what was that?
That was Ryan Newman and Kyle Busch about getting together.
These guys, but these are guys that haven't been up front all day. From Eric Almirola back all the way back to to the 55 with Vickers. Vickers was 1 lap down at one point in time. Here he is in the top 5. These guys that have changed, as you see Eric fighting for second place, fighting hard for second place. These are guys that the 18 of Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth and these guys have not raced with them all day long. They're going to have to race with these guys and come back up through there.
How about this 3 wide?
Hey, Kyle, the reason Eric Almirola.
Oh, there goes Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman around. Matt Kenseth trying to avoid it.
Stop. Inside. Hold your line.
Matt Kenseth got in the 78 pretty hard there.
Matt spun, got in the back of the 78 or got in the quarter pound of the 78 and spun him around and then almost took himself out getting up into the race. You know, I think the 39 car Ryan Newman, just an innocent bystander there.
You always got it when you see something like that. You always got to think about, I wonder if something happened a lap or two prior between those two guys for that to happen.
And this car is hurt right here.
Yeah.
You see the left front's towed way in as he comes back around.
Or guys, just get clear what you can on the tires. Get tires on it. We got at least 1-2 flats, so make sure we get the back up.
You know what? Matt may not have got in him as hard. By that angle, it didn't look like he
would be on the restart. Up front, Tony Stewart and Eric Almirola. Smoke has led the last 32 laps, and he's going to be out front at the green flag here.
And like Ryan mentioned, on these restarts now, you're going to see a little bit less and less respect. It's time to get what you can get, even if you got to knock somebody around a little.
Yeah, but as Ryan said also, we run a little bit older tires and a little bit different cycle than these guys, and that's what I was saying before the accident happened. We've got these guys up front. We've got the 43 car of Eric Almirola. We've got the 17 car. You know, these guys, they're on a little bit different cycle, on a little bit different older tires, some of them are, and these guys are going to have to fight their way through them, and when that happens, you have an accident like we had before.
First of that group on fresher tires, the 18 of Kyle Busch, 4th right now, but working over Bobby Labonte, who gets sideways coming off a 2. And there goes Casey Kane out of line, trying to save it down the back straightaway.
That was a good save right there.
Casey was running inside the top 5, actually was 7th, kicks him outside the top 10.
That was a great save because he was headed for the road course on the infield, coming out of the middle like that.
Reminded me of what happened to him with a few laps to go at Daytona last week. Same spot, middle of the back straightaway. Here he's able to save it and soldier on. And now we've got caution. Travis Kvapil and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. together, our 10th yellow of the afternoon.
And we saw Ricky up there running 4th or 5th in the 18 car, racing hard with Ricky. Ricky on a different cycle. Ricky's mad at somebody right here.
They were racing for 22nd. Hard for me to believe Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who's been so consistent in his rookie year, still looking for his first top 10 this season. It's not going to happen today.
He just got talked down.
Yeah, he got talked down right there. Yeah, because he ran up there and started passing cars.
Edge.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't trying to get back to the pits fast. He was going somewhere.
No one understands driver emotion like Wally Dallenbach. Here's the replay.
Let's see. Did Danica turn him?
Wow. They just got all hooked together there.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell from that
interesting dinner.
Yeah.
He's got fresher tires, last pitted at lap 219. He thrives in these situations.
The 43 car drove it in there pretty deep.
Yes, he did. But he opened that door for that 18.
Somebody else to watch, Jimmy Johnson. He's 6th and fresher tires than a couple of those guys in front of him. There goes Kyle around Bobby Labonte for 3rd. Brian Vickers trying to make the pass as well. Montoya and Burton have been good today. They're racing for position behind Jimmy Johnson. That's for 7th. And as these guys work turns 1 and 2, coming in behind the field off the pit lane, Kurt Busch returning to the track.
That 18 car is getting a run up off the corner, and he is dive bombing these corners to get it in and take that position away.
Saw Kurt back on track there, and I admire the patience of younger brother Kyle on this restart. Just letting it come to him, Wally.
I'm not sure I saw a lot of patience on that restart. I think Kyle's in a hurry. He's trying to get there.
He wasn't out of line before turn 1, which...
Yeah, so he was patient for the first 200 yards.
Yeah. See Kevin Harvick working over Brad Keselowski. Tony Stewart leading this race, and this is what he said under caution a moment ago.
We're on a number, but it's going to be tight. Go like hell. See what we can get out there, and then we'll start saving. Copy.
Yeah, and that the one advantage that he has, we talked about it a lot. He doesn't have to worry about any aero push or anything on his car. Right now, he's in clean air, and this is the best situation he can be with the tires he's running and everything else. I mean, he looks up in the mirror, he's going to see that Kyle Busch car getting bigger and bigger, but he is in the best spot right now, being able to stay out front.
Hey, we can talk about Kyle Busch all we want, but what about his teammate Denny Hamlin? A couple of problems early in this race when a lap down, was running back in the 26th position, and the guy that has won here 2 times in the top 10.
Yeah, and Denny, and you know, he had that cut tire. He was just in the place to take the lucky dog, had the cut tire. He's already a lap down. He comes back. He's made it back up. He's in the top 10. And Brian Vickers the same way, up there running 3rd and 4th. Brian was a lap down, has made that lap up, and has come back to be a top 5 car in this race.
Both had problems on that cycle of green flag pit stops early. Denny had a lug nut missing, had to come back down, and Brian Vickers leaving the pit lane with equipment. This is the battle for 3rd. Mitch and Brian Vickers working over Eric Almirola, going to grab the spot here.
Eric's car seems to be working fairly well. He's getting in the corner pretty good, but it seems to be rolling through the middle. I'm not sure he's getting up off the corner the way he wants to, but he makes time on the entry and through the center of the corner.
Remember Matt Kenseth involved in that accident, slowing down to avoid Ryan Newman and Kurt Busch a while ago. Had to pit, started outside the top 25, and now he has made his way back into the top 15, scored 14th right now.
You know, we talk about Eric being 4th there. Just behind him is Bobby Labonte. We've not talked about Bobby Labonte all year long, except when they switch drivers. So it's really good to see him have a strong run here. We've seen guys like him. We see guys like Jeff Burton. They're guys that don't normally have strong runs. To be able to come to a place like this, track position is so important and so key. If you can get it, then these guys can keep it. And I think Jeff and Bobby have done a great job today.
Jeff Burton, another one that we talked about earlier, running inside the top 10 and trying to get some more.
He is all over Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, he was.
They're racing for 6th right there. Johnson, who started 43rd today, had qualified 2nd. His time not allowed on Friday. He's made his way to the front, but never been a threat, Wally.
No, and you can see where the 31 car is better. It's right in the center of the corner. It looks like, you know, Jimmy's car probably a little bit tight. It's shoving the nose in the center, and the 31's able to drive it out underneath them.
And that says a lot, because we hear these guys say, once I get behind somebody, I've got that aero push, I can't do anything. Jeff's car is really working good through the center of the corner.
Danica Patrick out of the race, Marty.
And out of her car. Do you know what happened, Danica?
Well, you know, it's good to see it, to get the visual on it, but, you know, what it felt like was either I misjudged the braking or everyone jammed up a little bit. I got sideways trying to slow down so that I didn't drive up in the back of anyone, and it just got sideways, and there's nothing you can do. The worst part is that, you know, obviously I didn't want to take anybody with me. I feel bad. What can I say? We were having a reasonable race, and just didn't mean to do it.
But you're okay?
Yeah.
Out of the car, though, and there's a lot of work to get that 10 car if they're going to get it back into the race, Adam. And real quick, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is in the garage area in his car trying to get that car fixed so they can get back out.
You know, I got to give her some props for saying I might have misjudged the braking point, because that's what it looks like. She just ran in on him faster than she thought she was, jumped on the brakes, the car got sideways, she got into Ricky got in to the Travis and those guys and took all 3 of them out. But it takes a lot sometimes to admit that you made a mistake.
And she is taking care of equipment in this, her rookie season. If she's not able to get back in, this would only be her 3rd DNF of 2013. Things starting to heat up here for 5th. Bobby Labonte has that position, but Jeff Burton once again gaining ground and trying to get into the top 5. The 47's been great today, Chris.
Yeah, good to see this team running up front. He has had some alternator issues throughout this race, so we've been paying attention to that. But more importantly, can these cars in front make it on fuel? We're going to really have to watch that, especially if we stay green. But one thing that's helping them out is some cloud cover has rolled in, and we've seen about 15 degrees come out of the track as soon as those clouds come in. That track temp was up to 120 when the sun was shining on it. Right now, about 105.
And Chris, that reminds me. Remember early in this race when Dave Rogers, crew chief for Kyle Busch, said, when the clouds come out, our car's going to come to life. Kyle's running 2nd right now as Jeff Burton finally makes the pass and gets around Bobby Labonte for 5th.
Yeah, I think Labonte finally just kind of cracked the throttle going into turn 3 and just let him go because 31 was all over him.
Guys, just to make note, Bobby Labonte in that 47, he's on the same fuel agenda as Tony Stewart, the 14-hour leader. Bobby was last on pit road at lap 203, so he too would have to go 98 laps. The other driver is back in 8th position, Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42. He's not been to pit road since lap 203.
And perhaps the reason Bobby's sliding a little bit is he has gone in to fuel conservation mode. We'll continue to keep an eye on him. The advantage at the front for Tony Stewart, 0.3 of a second. And Larry mentioned Juan Pablo Montoya last pitted at lap 203, and he has company. Pole sitter Brad Keselowski is there, and right behind him, Denny Hamlin, who we mentioned back in the top 10.
Sit down, safe fuel, safe fuel, safe fuel.
Caution is out. Jeff Gordon, a 3-time winner here and a 4-time champion, spins it. The 11th yellow flag of the afternoon. Might be a bit of a blessing for Jeff, who was running 20th, and I don't think he was real happy with his car.
That's unusual to see him spin a car out.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
What's your car like right there?
Looks like he's got a little damage to the rear
maybe he
bumper.
got some.
And he had been racing with Paul Menard, Wally.
We'll take a look at it down. He goes underneath. It's probably somewhere to 78, and well,
yeah, that's just.
Watch Kyle Busch on the restart inside of race leader Tony Stewart. Nice job on the restart for Eric Almirola, trying to make the outside lane work.
Made it work. Very nice move. But Kyle's not having any of it.
I told you he's being patient here late, huh?
Yeah, watch him run into him right there.
That's good for Tony Stewart, though. I mean, every lap that he turns out front, the easier it makes his life down the stretch and the farther he can pull away.
Eric's doing a great job. He is not going away. He's not just letting you have that position.
Jeff Burton side by side with Brad Keselowski trying to make it work.
Boy, Burton's got a really good car right now.
And it looks like he needs green flag laps because after a restart, not always great. But once we get going, he marches to the front.
You just look at how his car is cutting down in the center of these corners. While all these other guys are sliding and searching for grip, that 31 car can get lower than everybody. And that's where he's passing everybody. And it's just, he's making it look easy.
Got Brad Keselowski. Here he is on Bobby Labonte. The advantage at the front for Tony Stewart. 0.8 of a second that time around.
He's been really strong down here in 1 and 2. That's where his car looks better than anybody.
Right there. He just cuts and gets back on the gas.
How about it, Marty?
Isn't that Jeff Burton's career signature? Always good at the end of a very long run. And remember when we all pitted at lap 219, all these cars did? They took on 2 tires. You see back there Jimmy Johnson trying to get around Bobby Labonte as well. Burton and those guys took on 2 tires. I think that's another effect we're seeing right now, guys. Those 2 tires coming into play for Jeff Burton as well.
See the 47 car, Bobby Labonte's going back and forth, almost like he's trying to see if he's got a flat tire or he got some dirt and debris on there.
Another driver making a charge late in this race, Kevin Harvick. Haven't talked about him a lot today, but he's inside the top 10 and trying to finish there for the 9th consecutive race. That team has really been consistent since the springtime. Ralph Harvick in the top 10. You expect him to make a late race run, don't you?
Well, he was looking for the late portion of this day, because the longer we got into the race, the later in the day it got. All of a sudden, that 29 car started to come to life. With about 45 to go, all of a sudden he jumped on the radio and said, hey, we got a pretty good race car here.
As low as 31st today is Kevin Harvick, and now he finds himself in the 9th position. Now we go back and listen to what Paul Menard had to say on the radio. He and Gordon got together, bringing out our 11th caution of the day. Listen in.
Runs into me, runs me up the track. Ain't gonna get away with that.
10-4. I think a few of them need that from you.
I mean, you know, eventually you just get fed up with that, you know, and it after a long day at the track like this, you know, you're going to get bumped and moved around, but then you get to the point where it's this stage of the race, and you just can't let anybody take anything away from you.
Exactly. And we heard it and saw it in Ryan Newman's interview and in his face and in his voice. He was just frustrated. I got hit by this guy. I got hit by that guy. Finally got taken out. And I think that's the way Paul felt. I got hit. I'm not taking it anymore. I'm not taking it from that guy. And that's what it is. It becomes a lot more take than there is give.
See who's behind him on track. He got Clint Boyer and then Jeff Gordon.
That's 15 hits to 27. 3 and 4. And you can see Paul struggles right there in the center of the corner. He gets in pretty good, just not rolling through the center. But the 15 can't really do anything with him at this point.
Jeff Burton trying to pick up another position. This the run for 4th. Eric Almirola has that spot, but Burton closing in.
Yeah, you got Kyle Busch closing in on the leader, and those guys are really good up there, but they better hope there's not another caution, because if they have to deal with the 31, they could be in for a big surprise.
Last time around, you mentioned the battle for the lead. Kurt Busch was only 0.3 of a second behind Tony Stewart. And Matt Kenseth has worked his way back into the top 10, Chris.
Yeah, you guys were kind of scratching your heads about them coming in, taking 4 tires, giving up all that track position. They fell from 13th to 21st in doing that. But he told Jason Ratcliffe on the radio, hey, it's going to take me about 5 laps, and I think we can get back up to 13th. Well, after about 7 laps, he's up to 10th now.
Yeah, and now all they need is a caution, really.
These guys are racing hard, right?
Really hard.
Really hard.
And Eric just finally gave him a little bit of a break going there into the corner.
They might have touched a little bit coming out of turn 4 there, but they've raced hard and had a lot of respect for each other, gave each other a lot of room. I talk about give and take. That was a lot of give right there on both of those guys' part.
And them racing side by side gives an opportunity for Brad Keselowski to pick up a spot.
You see they're right here together coming out of turn 4. Just might have got together right there. Right there, they just run out of room. The wall's to your right side. But, you know, up until that point, those guys had raced really hard for 4 or 5 laps and never touched.
Yeah, I think Jeff was probably in a push situation coming off of 4. He had that wheel turn, and that thing snapped loose on him on the exit.
How about this? A 3-car battle for the lead. You got Tony Stewart out front coming to 26 laps to go. Kyle Busch is right there, and Brian Vickers not far behind. How's Kyle feeling about the latter stages, Marty?
Well, I hate to tell Kyle and Wally, but Adam, you are correct. Kyle Busch being very patient. In fact, when this run started way back at 219, lap 219, when they took fuel only, Dave Rogers said, Bud, you got to do me a favor. That will be 98 laps if we make it to the end on that right front. Remember the problems they had at the beginning of the day with the right front blistering? So Kyle Busch being very patient, trying to work his way around Tony Stewart, but looks like Brian Vickers catching this group as well, Adam.
Yeah, I was going to say, better not be too patient, because that 55 car looks like he's the best of the 3 right now.
What do you think in regard to strategy? We look at the top three, all last pitted on different sequences, Larry.
Absolutely. Now with 25 to go, Kyle Busch in the 18 who pitted on lap 219, that would have been 82 to go. With the number of cautions we've had, I feel he can absolutely make it. But let's talk about Tony Stewart in the 14 car, our leader. Pitted with 98 laps to go. If the fuel window is somewhere around 75 to 78 laps, he needed roughly 40 to 45 caution laps to make it. We've had 32 since he last pitted. Let's look at Brian Vickers in the 55. He pitted with 90 to go. Based on that same fuel window, he needed about 25 to 30 caution laps. We've had 26 as far as him. So I feel good about Vickers. I feel good about Kyle Busch. The guy I'm just not sure, and I'm not sure Steve Addington or anybody knows, is the guy you're looking at, Tony Stewart. But nobody knows how much fuel he's been saving except possibly Tony Stewart.
Man, I don't know about that. I'm not good at math, but I don't think he's close to making it.
You know, I think in the nationwide race yesterday, Kyle went 96, or one of the cars went 96, 98. I can't remember which one it was, which was a long way. But they had all those caution laps at the end. Now I don't know how many.
Three attempts at a green-white checker.
Larry's got it figured up to saying you've got to have 40-some caution laps, and they've been 32.
But even right now, he's basically 10 or 15 laps short right now, the way what I just heard.
How much anxiety in the 14 camp, Ralph?
Well, before we got this run of yellow flags here late in the race, I asked Steve Addington, it was probably about 50, 60 to go, and he said, we're close, really close. And then they started getting all these caution flags, and now he was feeling pretty good. Now, of course, we all know crew chiefs. Doesn't mean he's exactly telling me the truth, but they sure seem to feel like they were pretty good. I also spoke to Rodney Childers, who is the crew chief for the 55 of Vickers, quite a while back. He felt they were very solid.
Boy, Vickers is giving that 18 a fit right now.
And Kyle has actually lost some ground to Tony in the last few laps.
Well, it's because he's been busy with the 55 car.
You know, guys, back to Tony Stewart. Yeah, by my calculations, he needed about 40 to 45 caution laps. We've had 32 since he pitted. But again, what I'm watching as far as his lap times, he's almost driving out the rearview mirror. He's almost running that car just as hard as he needs to based on the drivers behind him.
And here's something I'm having a hard time ignoring. Second and third on track right now in the Sprint Cup race. First and second yesterday in nationwide competition. Same tire. Does the track time help out today?
It doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt.
It absolutely doesn't hurt. I mean, the car's obviously a little bit different, but track time never hurts.
Yeah, and you know, we're coming in on, what, 20 laps to go? I'm telling you.
And there he goes. Nice.
As we watch these guys race hard, that 31 car is lurking in the mirror behind these guys. Now, catching and passing are two totally different things. But Burton has been gaining just steadily. A couple of tenths a lap, a couple of tenths a lap.
But I think he can pass him. I think he's the only guy that can pass anybody at this stage in the game. But he's got to get there.
But the way his car rolls through the center of 1 and 2 especially, he just gets that thing rotated and cuts and gets back on the gas better than anybody that's right now appears of the top 4 or 5.
And Larry's talked a lot about the strategy with the 14 team of Tony Stewart. Last pitted at lap 203. Bobby Labonte did the same. He has started to drift in the latter stages. That 47 car now being scored in the 10th position.
Yeah, and I think he's in that conservation mode. He run in front of that 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson couldn't do anything with Bobby Labonte. Couldn't catch him, couldn't pass him. Finally, Bobby pulls over, lets him go. And what Bobby does, he's falling back 3 or 4 positions. I think he's in that conservation mode to say we're just got to finish and get a decent finish.
At some point, the 14's got, I think if the 14 gets passed by the 55, I believe he'll go into conservation mode a lot more than he is when he's leading the race.
Yes.
Kyle, you and I were talking during break earlier about Brad Keselowski. This team has had a great weekend. They need speed. They need good runs. The defending champ has not won this year. Started on pole, running 5th. This has been exactly what the doctor ordered for them.
Yeah, they needed this. They needed something to stop that slide. Since the Texas incident with the rear end where they were fined and penalized, they've just not found that consistency. And they need to stop that at some point in time. Something to hang their hat on. And I think they can hang their hat on coming to New Hampshire, setting on the pole, and having a solid run, as we see the 55, who's just eating that 14 up right now.
Yeah. Less than 0.2 of a second behind as they come across the start-finish line. 15 laps remaining at New Hampshire, and Brian Vickers is there.
Yeah, this just gets to the point. I think the 55 car is much better than the 14 right now.
Yes.
So this is just a matter of time. I think the 14 is just not rolling through the center like he was earlier.
Battle for the lead. Brian Vickers inside of Tony Stewart. At the start-finish line that time, it's Vickers out front. He completes the pass as we go into turn 1. The 55 on point with 14 to go.
Nice and smooth.
Now, it's going to be interesting to see what Tony does now. You know, he's pretty much committed. You guys are committed at this time. This is our strategy. But, you know, right there behind him is the 18 again, who Vickers is pulling away from. But that 31 is right there on the back bumper of the 18 car.
And you got to give a call to Rodney Childers, the crew chief for this 55 team.
Oh.
Top 5 last week at Daytona with Michael Waltrip. Mark Martin spends a lot of time behind the wheel. And here they are in position to win at New Hampshire with Brian Vickers driving.
And Vickers has done a good job every time he's climbed into this car this year.
Yeah, I give Vickers tons of credit for how he's handled the situation and coming back and all that. But that team, we talk about that team all the time, whether it's Mark driving, whether it's Vickers driving, whether it's Michael Waltrip, they just do a great job of adapting to new drivers week in and week out.
The 01-47 behind.
Larry, it's hard to put into words what they're doing here today.
Well, I think what Brian Vickers is doing is he's pretty much making a solid bid that he will be the full-time driver for this 55 car in 2014.
And Larry, how about this? When we came here in September, Vickers was driving the 55 car, had to start at the rear because of an engine change, drove all the way through the field and finished 9th. Wally pointed it out. Every time he gets behind the wheel, he does a nice job. It's been a long time since he went to victory lane. Got to go back to August of 2009 at Michigan. That's 75 starts ago. Vickers doing a great job of massaging the lap traffic. Off of turn 4, 10 laps remaining as he crosses the start-finish line.
And he's working a nice little gap now in between himself and Kyle Busch, and the guy I think he's got to worry about the most right now is that 31, but I just don't think Burton's going to be able to get there.
Yeah, I think Burton's run out. Once Vickers cleared and that the group kind of spread out, then I'm not sure the 31 can get there. As long as Tony was holding him up a little bit, the 31 was coming.
You guys know this as drivers. You never know how long the opportunities are going to last. Brian Vickers, a young hot shoe. So many people believed in him. He had won races at NASCAR's top level, then had the blood clot problem. Took him out of the car, and many didn't know if he would ever make it back. Had to stair-step his way back to the top. An opportunity for Michael Waltrip Racing, and here he is taking advantage.
Well, you guys touched on, I think the biggest thing with Brian was his attitude towards this. I mean, everybody wants to be in the car all the time. You don't want to share a car with anybody. But Brian he's taken it well, and he's done a good job, and frankly, he deserves to be in that car full-time next year.
Good battle for third. You got Kyle Busch. Talked a lot about Jeff Burton, how strong he is, and right behind him, Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, this is a good three-way battle right here. Keselowski made up a lot of ground on these two in the last 4 or 5 laps.
All of these drivers last pitted at lap 219, so none of them should have any question marks in regard to fuel mileage. And we're getting a report now that Bobby Labonte, who last pitted at 203, is out of gas, and that's when Tony Stewart pitted.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. I thought he was going to be 10 laps short based on Larry's math. So, and we're right there right now in this window, 7 laps to go.
Yeah, and as we watch Bobby leaving pit road, I hate that for Bobby Labonte and for that team, because, I mean, they showed they can run up front when they get to that place.
Yeah, it would have been nice to put that one to bed.
Tony Stewart losing a lot of ground to the race leader since he gave up the top spot to Brian Vickers. And now as he continues to try and save fuel going down the stretch, 6 laps remaining, Kyle Busch, Jeff Burton, and Brad Keselowski all closing in for the runner-up spot.
Hey guys, as far as Tony Stewart, think about it. Comes in here 10th in the points. They cannot afford to run out of fuel. He'd be better off to back off and finish 9th or 10th than run out of fuel and leave here back outside the top 10 with 7 races to go.
Yeah.
Sit down for debris on the back. Shut it off. Shut it off.
Never mind.
That changes everything. And I was getting ready to say, I think Larry was right. There's 6 or 7 seconds between him and 7th or 8th place. He could afford to give up with 4 or 5 laps to go, a second or more a lap, and not get kicked too far outside the top 5.
Wally, this could be good news. The caution means he can save more fuel. The bad news is with 5 to go, we could be looking at a green-white checker situation. And if you get that, now you're going to overtime and asking even more out of your fuel mileage.
That is correct. They can play for you or against you.
Yeah.
And you know, I think a 55 car did not want to see this either. I mean, he was cruising to a victory, and now he's got to deal with the restart. I'm not sure he's got to worry about too much about the 14 car on the restart.
Vickers, the leader in the outside lane, and Tony Stewart not letting him get away. And there goes Kyle Busch to the inside.
Here we
3
go.
wide into 1.
Wow, look at Vickers up on that high side. Holy cow, that was strong.
Strong
Vickers
move by
clears
Vickers,
Stewart and has the lead. A lap and a half to go at New Hampshire.
Stewart's out of gas.
Stewart in the outside lane is rolling slow. Kyle Busch goes by. Jeff Burton, Brad Keselowski doing the same.
Yeah, Tony's out of gas for sure. I thought it picked back up there.
White flag is out for Brian Vickers.
We're out of fuel here, guys.
Oh, man. Denny Hamlin just missed Tony Stewart coming down the straightaway.
I'm going to tell you, a great restart by Vickers, but
that was incredible.
Yes,
hanging on the outside with 2 guys on the inside was pretty awesome.
And Eric Almirola did a great job of being in that outside line, not running all over Tony and getting back down and squeezing into 5th place there.
Brian Vickers hadn't won in 75 races. Running part-time for Michael Waltrip Racing. Welcome back to Victory Lane. Vickers wins it at New Hampshire.
That's what I'm talking about. Great job. Great job. Great call. Great recovery. Man, I'm so proud of you guys. Thanks for not giving up on me. Ty, Michael, Rob, thanks for the opportunity. Aaron, thank you so much. That is awesome. You are the man, Brian. Thank you so much. Welcome back, baby.
That'll be a popular win in the garage. Lap 211, they came down, topped off the fuel tank, and that was huge. Rodney Childers making that decision.
You know what? That was interesting. Almost every one of those cars, from Kyle to Kurt, or excuse me, from Kyle to Brad and all those guys, rode up beside Vickers and to congratulate him. We saw Matt Kenseth right there coming out of turn 4, all the way back to 9th or 10th place. That's pretty cool right there.
Rodney Childers has got to be one happy man, Ralph.
Well, he is, and so is this crew. You guys put a lot of faith in Brian. You set him up to do it, and he pulled it off for you. You got to be pretty happy with this driver these days.
Yeah, he does a good job for us. Really, all of our guys do. Him and Mark Martin and Michael Waltrip, they all do a really good job for us. And wouldn't be here without any of them, and it's emotional for all of us today. But I'd like to thank Aaron's and Toyota, Sprint, and everybody involved. My guys did a great job all weekend. We had a fast car, and just proud of everybody.
How much does a win like that help him get closer to securing this ride full time next year?
I think it's pretty much a done deal.
And as Brian Vickers climbs from the car and celebrates, about 50 yards from him, sitting idle on the pit lane, Tony Stewart's race car. If it weren't for the green-white checker, would have finished inside the top 5. Instead, 26. Final car on the lead lap.
That's going to probably what that gave him a hit on the points there, right?
Yeah,
that knocked him out of the top 10.
That hurts the point situation, and that, you know, and sometimes you've got to keep the big picture in mind, especially when we're getting down to 6, 7, 8 races left before the chase. And I think these guys were so focused on a win, it's almost like they let that part slip away.
Brian Vickers driving the Aaron's Dream Machine, and he's living out a dream today. You heard the emotion from crew chief Rodney Childers. The team there to congratulate him. That is one cool scene. Welcome into the NASCAR on TNT post-race show. Michael Waltrip Racing celebrating on the pit lane after Brian Vickers' win today.
Boys, good deal! Good deal! Nice job, guys. Yeah! I'll get you some! Yeah, Coach! Yeah, dog! Congratulations, man. We won with him! Hey, Mark! Hey, Mark! Good job, man. Yeah, Dwayne.
And now the party continues in victory lane. Here's Matt Yoakum.
Adam, back in 2009, a win for Brian Vickers, then a medical issue in 2010, came back in 2011, and then Red Bull shut down. He scored a part-time ride. The road you've traveled, does that have an even greater impact on this victory here today?
Absolutely. It couldn't have been filled with more trials and tribulations, but thanks to so much support from friends and family, and this year my fiance Sarah, and she's stuck in traffic right now. I want her to get back, but I got to thank Ty for making that phone call and giving me the chance, and Rob and Michael believing in me, this whole crew, the Aaron's Dream Machine. Man, this thing was good today. We had a mishap in the pits and got us a lap down, but we got it back, and one of our crew members had to leave. The engine tuner, Denny, his father's not doing well, so we're thinking of him. My bus driver, Randy, his mother's not doing well, thinking of her, but man, just thank God for the chance and the opportunity to come back, and this team and Rodney and just everyone believing in me and giving me a second chance. It means the world.
And the statement that it sends, not one, not two, but three different drivers compete in this machine all during the year. It's hard enough to win just with one driver, but look what this group does, going around with three.
It really does, and that's a testament to the whole team, everyone in MWR, Rob, Michael, leadership, Ty, and obviously Rodney as a crew chief, doing a great job with all three drivers, and the support we get from Aaron's. The support from Aaron's and Toyota is what makes this happen, and I can't thank them enough for the opportunity.
So do you think this locks you into this machine for next year?
Nothing's a guarantee in life. I've learned that the hard way. Even when you think it's done, it's not done, but it definitely goes a long way.
And I can tell you, Chris, there's a huge celebration right now over in England because that's where Rob Kaufman and Michael Waltrip are. They're at the